My life was measured in vertical feet and wind chill factors. I'm Ryan. I'm a lead ranger for the Alpine Rescue Service. My world is one of granite, ice, and the absolute, unforgiving silence of the peaks. I don't believe in luck, I believe in crampons, beacons, and the cold reality that the mountain always wins if you don't respect it. I am a man made of winter, sharp, steady, and solitary. The variable that almost broke me was Ash. Ash was a meteorologist stationed at the high-altitude observatory. He was brilliant, talkative, and possessed an infuriatingly optimistic belief that he could negotiate with the weather. He'd stay out on the ridges 10 minutes too long to check a sensor, grinning at the lightning as if it were a fireworks display. "The ridge is loading, Ash," I'd told him, my voice tight with a frustration that felt a lot like fear. "The slab is going to go. Get off the mountain." "5 more minutes, Ryan," he'd shouted back, his face bright with the thrill of the hunt. "This storm is historic. I need the pressure readings." The disaster happened at midnight. It wasn't just a storm, it was an atmospheric river hitting a frozen wall. The mountain didn't just slide, it buckled. A massive slab avalanche ripped through the observatory, shearing the research pod from its anchors and dragging it into the maw of the ravine. I didn't wait for the morning light. I couldn't. I found the wreckage 3 hours later, buried under 10 feet of pulverized ice. My beacon was screaming, a high-pitched pulse that led me to a small air pocket beneath a twisted section of the pod's reinforced hull. I dug with a primal, desperate speed. When I finally broke through, the air that rushed out was stale and freezing. I dropped into the void. Ash was there. He was pinned against the server racks, his leg twisted at an angle that made my own stomach churn. He was conscious, but barely. His breath was a thin, white mist in the flickering emergency light. "Ryan," he whispered, his eyes unfocused. You came back. I'm the ranger, remember?" I rasped, my hands already moving to check his pulse. "I always come back for the idiots who don't listen." But the sarcasm lacked its usual bite. The temperature in the snow cave was already dropping into the negatives. We were trapped. The entrance I dug had collapsed behind me under the weight of the shifting snowpack. We had a small pocket of air, a dead radio, and a storm outside that would kill us in minutes if we tried to dig out now. "I'm cold, Ryan," Ash said, his teeth chattering so hard I could hear them clicking. "I'm so cold." I knew the stages of hypothermia. I knew the point where the blood leaves the extremities and the heart begins to stumble. "Look at me, Ash," I said, stripping off my heavy, frozen outer shell. "We need to share the heat. No arguments." I didn't give him a choice. I pulled him away from the cold metal of the racks and laid him on my insulated emergency pad. I stripped his wet parka and boots, my fingers numb and fumbling. I pulled my own fleece off, exposing my skin to the biting air, and then I lay down beside him. I pulled him into my arms, skin to skin, wrapping my survival bivvy around us both. At first, he was like a block of ice. I felt his body rack with violent, uncontrolled tremors. I tucked his head under my chin and wrapped my legs around his, trying to encompass as much of him as possible. I was the fire, he was the frost. "Breathe," I whispered against his hair. "Focus on the heat." We lay there in the blue-gray darkness of the ice cave. The world above was a screaming white chaos, but down here, it was just the sound of two hearts trying to synchronize. Slowly, the violent shaking began to subside. He let out a long, shuddering breath and pressed his face into the hollow of my shoulder. His hands, still freezing, gripped my back, his fingers digging into my skin as if he were trying to find a way inside. "Ryan," he murmured, his voice sounding more like himself. "I'm sorry. I should have listened." "Don't talk," I said, though my voice had lost its edge. "Just stay. Just keep the heat." He shifted, lifting his head just enough to look at me. In the dim, ethereal light reflecting off the ice walls, his eyes were dark and vulnerable. The scientist was gone, the thrill-seeker was gone. There was just a man who had realized that the data didn't matter if there was no one left to read it. I thought I was okay with the silence, Ash whispered, his breath warm against my neck. But the silence out here it's lonely. It's not silent anymore, I said. He reached up, his hand trembling as he touched my face. His fingers were warming up, his touch a soft, electric contrast to the freezing world outside. He traced the line of my jaw, his eyes searching mine for the anger he expected to find. He found something else instead. The night when the sky fell, he breathed. You were the only thing that didn't break. I didn't answer with words. I couldn't. I leaned down and captured his mouth with mine. The kiss was desperate. It was the taste of salt and recycled air, and the fierce, defiant heat of survival. It wasn't the slow, calculated move of a ranger, it was the raw, unrefined reach of a man who had almost lost the only person who made the mountain worth climbing. Ash made a low sound in his throat and pulled me closer, his arms locking around my neck. The ice cave around us was silent and deadly, but in the small, shared space of our bivvy, there was a fire that the mountain couldn't touch. We were two hearts beating against the winter, proving that even in the deepest whiteout, the heat always finds a way.